Mama always said life was like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're gonna get. How y'all doing this evening? Come on in and sit down. We fixing to make you a lovely plate. Come on, child. Southern hospitality. When you walk into a restaurant in the South, it sounds so welcoming. I've met a demographic of black and white who talk like that. In America, you have your North, South, Midland, and Western style of spoken English. It's called regionalism. The styles are culturally and geographically constructed. It isn't always a measure of intelligence or whether someone has a full grasp of the spoken language. However, my friend, one must possess the ability to present a developed vocabulary, pronounce words correctly, and speak coherently, and with what Taylor Molly would say, conviction. So if you can't do what was mentioned, then that's butchering a language, the inability to apply the grammatical rules correctly. In other words, there is nothing wrong with changing a noun to a verb so long as you know what the hell you're doing. For example, you ever played Street Fighter, a video game, with someone that doesn't know how to play, but they beat your ass because they've been banging the same button, hitting you with the same kicks from Chun-Li 30 times in a row until they beat you? The win was obviously pure luck. Right. Well, it's pure luck to understand someone that doesn't play by the English rules. But it's a beautiful thing to understand someone that knows the rules and knows how to bend the rules. Hence, changing nouns to verbs. Try reading an E.E. Cummings poem. It'll make you question the nature of grammar and punctuation. But he knows what he's doing. So how do we measure what's considered standard English or proper English? Regional English versus slangs and idioms. Redneck English versus black ebonics. Ooh, the double standards. Lower class versus upper class English. Posh versus the rest of the UK. You know, the chavs and Cockney. Aren't the variations of English a product of a dispersed population? It was quite difficult for me to understand a Scottish person, but I don't think we would suggest that one is more superior or inferior than the other, right? Back in America, the American debate is full of its hypocrites. Jeff Foxworthy, a Southern comedian, once published a book called Redneck Dictionary. Some Southern whites have reclaimed the word redneck, which was once derogatory, just as much as some blacks have reclaimed the N-word, which was obviously derogatory. So it's a similar relationship. Obviously, the book is a guide to understanding what Southern whites are saying. Language is constantly expanding, but our tolerance is at a hypocritical standstill. You just can't deny subcultural uniqueness. We have CNN and BBC English for a reason. It's to weed out misinterpretations and misunderstandings so that all the regions can communicate effectively. Okay? So yes, speak your redneck English, your black ebonics, your New York Italian accent, your Cockney, so long as you're able to switch it up to standard English. When it's necessary. And by necessary, I mean majority of the time. But you see, that's society's pressure, not mine. Articulation is obviously subjective. Job interviews, public presentations, book clubs, philosophical debates. There's almost a set of frequently used words that are almost exclusively used in those specific settings, right? Learn those words or phrases. Try to use them effectively. Hey man, you saw the game last week? Yes, rather I'd have to concur that the game was marvelous, splendid, indubitably. Why do you talk white? Why do you talk black? Double standards do exist, however. Southern redneck English is more or less accepted, whereas black ebonics is evil. Darth Vader. It's the majority versus minority complex of privilege. But even other whites with standard English discriminate against Southern whites with Southern twang or drawl. So it isn't always racial. There is a love-hate with both. There is love because it's entertaining. There is hate because of class conflicts. The comedy world exposes the love-hate so vividly. For example, Larry the Cable Guy versus Cat Williams, Jerry Seinfeld versus Bill Cosby. I'll put the links below so you can listen to how they speak and you can determine for yourself. Styles of articulation varies, and many times it really doesn't have anything to do with class. It does have a lot to do with culture. In the comedy world, sometimes it's not even the pun or the joke that makes people laugh. It's the manner in which the comedian presents the story or the phrase. I'm rich, bitch! What you talk about, Willis? For blacks that speak white, I think it's the adoption of distinct white mannerisms or body language that they may be referring to. Culturally ignorant people can't distinguish between proper English and culturally manifested body language. Otherwise, proper speaking celebrities like Morgan Freeman, Neil deGrasse Tyson, or Michael Eric Dyson would receive just as much heat. I only wish when they say he's talking like a black guy that they meant the likes of Morgan Freeman, but they don't. So for those of you black folks that do speak proper, get off your high horse. The expectation does go both ways. I've had white strangers who didn't want to meet me, they wanted to meet the brother in me. And that, my friends, is reserved for brotherly occasions. Occasions that include my white, black, Hispanic, and Asian brothers and sisters. If I don't know you, then address me accordingly, mother. 대박! 한국말 잘해요. 하지만 영어 할 수 있어요? Research the term cultural appropriation and contrast and compare that to cultural assimilation. You'll find that people's expectations overshadow their understanding of cultural influences. So to end this video, here are 2 enunciating pet peeves, not by me but by the narrative that's in the air. 1, it's not let me ask you a question, it's let me ask you a question. But that similar pet peeve can be applied to some Brits who find it rather appealing to swallow their teas. Well, Ken, would you like a cup of water? Hey, where the hell did your tea go? It's called tea glottling or glottalization. I put the definition below, so read that and check that out. People will always find it necessary to nitpick language. I put a video link of Stephen Fry as he talks about the pretentiousness with people regarding language. Stay tuned for part 2 of this topic. Until then, speak with conviction. The world can't understand you if you don't understand the world. Alright? One love, peace, and be free.